Hello, people. Good day to you. Hope you've been having a nice day. It's really nice to be here again. My name is Lola,
And my name is Ayo.
and getting right to it, we have an interesting and touchy conversation today. And it centers around violence in homes, in relationships. And so the subject of the matter is a video that surfaced online, I think today. Um, it showed a man that was being questioned and cross-examined by people that seemed to be policemen. He was accused of having beaten and battered his wife. He beat her up and she landed in the hospital in critical condition, according to what was being said in the video, and she was even said to be on oxygen. But the thing that is really touchy about that thing is that she is said to have just had a baby 4 days before the whole incident. So she has a newborn in that house with them. He has a newborn too because that child is his. And he was allegedly able to beat her up to that state in front of his newborn and also his mother-in-law, which is the wife's mother. And it was just so sad. Tensions were up in the video. People were saying, don't you know, where is this baby's mother? They were asking him more like a rhetorical question. Of course, they knew where she was, and they were like to point out that you put her there. So and that just brings up a lot of issues. And I just want to ask, Ayo, what do you think about this kind of situation?
Well, just like you have just said now, this is a couple. His wife just had a baby, and the man, allegedly beat up his wife that just had a baby. For me, there's nothing the man wants to say that would justify,
Yes.
whatever violence that happened between him and his wife. And as the case may be, for me, the man is just wrong, totally wrong, for beating up his wife. If that is what he has done, and that's going to be close to what he has done, since you said she's hospitalized already. There is nothing that can justify such. And my own perspective to this case is to look at it from the place of, how can, couples, manage conflict, between themselves, especially when there seems to be pressure. Because now when we look at this scenario, there's something unique about it. The woman just gave birth to a child. At that time, the woman is trying to recover. So on her own side, like that, she has pressure. There's going to be pain of childbirth going on at that time.
Yes.
Also the man as well is probably, most likely supporting his wife to recover. Also their newborn baby, providing the adequate support for the newborn baby and overseeing, the house as the case may be. So also he himself is going through some form of pressure, Also maybe even during the childbirth, all the support, all the care, all the running around as such scenarios may require, It's just something, when we look at that full context, we'll see that the couples are really indeed under pressure, both the man and his wife, And for me, before violence happens in marriages, it's always a result of conflicts. And when couples don't manage conflicts properly, it would result to violence. And so many times, conflicts that naturally couples would manage themselves. When there's pressure, you see either parties acting outside of what you would normally expect, And so that is why my own view to it is that, for every couple out there, let's look at this case and, take lessons from it to say, how can we avoid this, and for those that also have, serious issues managing themselves during conflict, what can be done. And for people that have been able to manage their conflict to an extent, how can we manage ourselves better when there's pressure? I'm not taking brief from the man, and this is not to say, this is the reason why the man did what he did. Like I said, there's nothing that would justify, violence in any relationship. There's nothing that will justify that, So, but for me, the lessons here is to see how this can be avoided, is to see how this will not happen within any relationship. And see the loss that is coming. Number one, you guys have just spent money on childbirth. Your wife is trying to recover. Maybe normally she's supposed to recover for like 6 months or 3 months, thereabout, But now, after this violence now, they will have to spend more time.
Yes.
They will spend more money in hospital. So it's regrettable, because a lot of times violence just always leads to loss and loss and more loss. So it's important that when couples are going through pressures, everybody tries to manage whatever conflict is arising at that time, so that it doesn't escalate real fast. So we have seen couples whereby when children's school fees are coming, because the man is under pressure, he starts to misbehave, or the woman, if the woman is the one doing that, there can be some out of norm kind of behavior, within those periods. Oh, rent is coming up, several things that can bring, pressure in a marriage. And I just believe that at those times, what both parties should do within that period is to keep the big picture, in mind, and to learn to see that, even when within these periods we are not agreeing, we can, easily decide to say, what, if I don't agree with you on this, I'm not going to give you my support, and also on the other party side to say, it's not compulsory that things would go my way. Like I would say, some conflicts that have led to violence could be similar conflicts that have happened in the relationship before, when there was no pressure. But now that there's pressure, you understand, added with that pressure, with that tension that is going on, several things can happen. And a lot of times, when you keep it in mind and say, now that there's pressure and we're having these conflicts, if it descends this way, what will happen is we will spend more time under this pressure.
Spend more time trying to recover.
That's the point. Now, like I said, maybe the pressure was just supposed to last for 3 months. He's supporting his wife to recover. The wife is also trying to recover. Their newborn baby is trying to be stabilized, get you to the house, do some things with the doctors and the likes, within a short period. But now, he has extended it. If probably was in debt before, now his debt has increased. That's just the way it is, So, or the family is in debt before, now, also, by the time they are trying to even resolve the whole violence that has happened, that's another scenario entirely. So, there's still more pressure along the way. Meanwhile, if they had been able to manage this conflict, whatever conflict that led to this violence, properly, the issue will pass. This pressure period would pass, and things will go back to normal. But now the guy has just changed the whole landscape for himself. We don't even know whether the marriage can recover again right now.
Yes.
Whether it's not out. So for those out there, for me, I just feel at those periods, and it will always come. It will always come. The most important thing is just to look at the big picture, to say, if the man had looked at it and said, okay, my wife just needs to recover right now. Whatever thing that I'm not happy with, or whatever thing we are disagreeing about, let's just focus on your recovery. That is the most important thing here. When you are fully recovered, we can sit down and begin to, sort out whatever places where we have, disagreements on, we don't even know again whether the man will also go and, end up in jail, because what he has done now is a crime and it's jailable. So, that's another thing entirely, So it's just, violence is not the way. That's just my own view to it is, for couples out there, for people in relationships out there, whenever pressure comes, just, focus on the most important thing at those times. And sometimes the most important thing at those times are the things that are even putting you under pressure. You're like now as a man, oh, school fees is coming, you have like 3 children or 2 children or 7 children, you are paying the school fees. And it seems like a whole lot, right? The most important thing is just focus on, let me just finish this school fees. Once I'm done, trust me, you'll be back to your normal self, where you can easily accommodate a lot of, disagreements and, things not really going your way.
Edge.
Yeah, you're not, that's just the word. You're not on edge, you're not wanting to have things your way. And secondly, when you find yourself being under pressure, acknowledge it that, hey, this period is tense for me, this period is tense for me. So, and sometimes when you're having, just say, please, I beg of you, this period is tense for both of us. Let's just, stay calm. Can we postpone, this we are not agreeing with? Okay, I don't agree with you on this. Okay, can you please just do it without me? Let me be left out of this, so that by the time you guys are now back to normal, you can have, definitely for every couple, I'm sure there are times that you don't agree on certain things, but you would support whoever's view is being agreed upon, will be supported, and things would begin to go that route. So within those pressure points, it's fine to just say, hey, just please go, let me just be on my own, let me focus on this main thing. Once this is over, we can come back to, so that will save both of you guys away from a lot more pressure. Because now that family right now is shaky. They don't even know whether they have a family again. That's what such mismanagement can cause.
It does.
So it's
Or
crazy.
imagine if
Even if they have a family again, right now, that scenario that has happened will always be there. The woman may not say it, but it would always be sometimes, the reminder, the remembrance of it.
There was somebody else there, his mother-in-law.
His mother-in-law is there.
Look at him
That,
in that way.
So it's quite a sad situation, and I pray that they recover from it. That's my prayer. But really, for us out here that seen that kind of story, that heard that kind of story, is that we learn to manage conflict, especially when there's pressure, especially when there's a lot to be done, especially when things sometimes seem not to go the way we have planned, and sometimes I just feel patience is just the way to go, at those periods. Just stay calm, be patient. You may not even be able to figure things out, just stay patient. And it's those times that are even, your actions are very critical. Sometimes inaction is the best, when you don't do anything, you're just, so that as that thing just goes like that, there's nothing that will be recorded, that you did. So sometimes, just not even doing anything. Sometimes, when you are under pressure, you feel like you want to shout, you want to say certain things, but just keeping quiet, not saying those things, will help within those periods. That's my own view. It's quite sad. And in all fairness, the man is wrong. Is wrong. Your wife just gave birth to a baby. She's recovering. That's somebody that is, I can say, is as good as, when a woman just gives birth to a child, it's as good as saying the woman is like someone that's sick, that's just recovering. That's more like the person is at their weakest point, and you now adding pain to what is on ground. It's not the best, especially when you're the one that puts the woman, your wife, in that kind of position. I don't think it's not good. It's not good. The man fumbled. That's the he fumbled. That's the word.
He
And
definitely fumbled.
so my prayer for them is that God will help them to resolve it. But for everybody out there, please, let's learn to manage our conflict. Let's learn to make sure that, especially during pressure periods, conflicts don't escalate. So that things won't go the way we don't want. That's just it. That's my view. What do you
Okay.
think?
Well, I think you've said a lot and they are all valid, but I just feel like, another approach to looking at pressure is that, pressure is going to bring out what is really inside of you. And it's not like saying you are a bad person. Sometimes pressure will bring, it's like, when you press a bottle, all the stuff on top will first come out. Then after a while, when you press it, the things under, they begin to come out. So it's not like maybe you are not a good person, but some of the stuff in the shadows, after some prolonged pressure, will also come out. And those point to the areas you need to deal with. And usually, it's not when those pressuring issues come up that you would have gotten an idea that you need to deal with these things. Like now, a person that is prone to violence, they will feel it. I know there are situations that do things to you and they can change you and they can really surprise you. Extreme conditions. But this one, you had a baby. The baby will come.
Yeah.
Your wife will come home.
Oh, yes.
A few things. You talked about wanting to have your way always. Some of those things, they don't build you up. And you won't know. Especially maybe when you've had people or a person that's been putting up with you. And that's why, it's also good that we show up as our authentic selves with people so that they can see themselves. Even if things will not work out with them, they can learn something, you can learn something. It's always better that way. So if you have a propensity to violence with the kind has been said to be displayed in that story, a man beating up his wife, I heard somebody, was it a comment or the person who posted it saying, you didn't even feel bad when the baby was crying. That
was terrible.
You didn't feel bad. That couldn't hold you. You didn't feel bad that your mother-in-law was there watching you brutalize her daughter. So that's a very deep thing. You can't just be put down on pressure. That pressure is showing you where you are. If it's not your wife now, that little child, when that child is 2 or 3, and you just, if you've been around children, and they will reveal to you sometimes how much you are grown or how much you are matured, how much you are growing, because sometimes they don't even do anything per se. They are just not, like you said, not having your way. They are just not tailoring to what you would want. That it's not like they are right or wrong. And if you are used to that, if you are prone to, you will see it easily even with children, if you are prone to violence. If the ideas you have about dealing with people when you don't, children are one of the best things that will show you that. And if you can do that to a grown adult that could have easily picked up a knife too or something and defended themselves, it's just a pointer to what you might do in other situations. And so I think, for everybody, some of us are more prone to it than others, some because that's how people even reflected to us for a long time. Some, I don't know, things come up, but people get there faster than others. I think one of the things to do is we need to pursue self-awareness, because for some people now, not be violent, but we are talking about violence. Some people are extreme in their reactions when something happens.
Yeah.
They say things that they can't call back. That's also a big problem. I've even read, they were saying, assaulting people with words is a kind of violence.
Yes.
But, that's not to belittle physical violence. So, self-awareness, self-improvement, especially when you want to do new things. You want to marry, you want to have kids, you are the one that wants to be rich, you want to be famous, you want to be a leader. You can't do it at certain levels that you are. And so it's very important to grow, to learn. And you know, when you don't grow, when you don't learn, sometimes this is the kind of things that happen. I saw him, you know, with the camera on his face. People said he was laughing, but I felt maybe it was a kind of not even knowing how to be in that situation. Because when he was doing all that he allegedly did, he probably didn't know that he would become somebody that is on the internet in that manner.
Yeah.
So that's what those things do to us. And the preparation for not having that, it doesn't start like in the moment of pressure. You know, it's like somebody that have been telling, stop stealing, stealing little things, and then the person goes to the supermarket and says, it's not me that used to tap money from my mom's purse and tap money from my sisters and brothers, and
Can get away with this
I
as
can
well.
quickly tap this thing now, and they catch the person, and you know, the person is being disgraced. So I think we should work on in self-improvement and self-awareness. Be able to know when you are like burning up, and then deal with it. So that's just what I have to say. Let's just keep working on ourselves.
Well, thank you for that. You know, one of the things that was just very, very, you know, critical from what you just said right now to me was the fact that, you know, there's need for one to, you know, improve oneself, you know, so that when those pressures come, you know, the things that those things would hurt about us, about the person, won't be a shock to you yourself.
You know, self-improvement is like updating. Once you don't update, you'll be behind.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
And then sometimes you won't even know the errors that you have until those situations happen, and you are now like, you know, the question is, may we not live in regret? Because I'm sure that, you know, that
and
situation
always listen to what people point out about you, no matter how outlandish it looks. Even sometimes when people you know don't like you, they criticize you, just examine it. It can be helpful for the next place to grow or change. So that's just the way I would see it.
That's good. So thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.
See you on the next one.
Bye.